Hey YouTube, this is Prep Pro 2717. I just wanted to run you guys through what I've been doing for bread recipes. My mother-in-law bought us a bread maker for Christmas, and it's just been really handy. We haven't been baking any kind of bread or anything like that up until this point, and it's just a real easy thing to do. Dump the ingredients in, hit a button, walk away, come back in a couple of hours, and you have fresh bread. What we were doing in the beginning was buying these bread mixes, which are pretty good. The store that we go to, there's only like 3 different types, so we're pretty limited as to what kind of bread we could make using these. But the downside of that is these are like $4 a piece or something crazy, so you end up with a loaf of bread that's really good, but you just paid $4 for a loaf of bread. So we got online and looked up some different recipes and have been trying different ones. This one here, this is a cranberry oat bread that's really good, and so I'm going to bag that up right now. This isn't the only way to do it, this is just the way that I've been doing it. My son's in the background running interference, so we'll see if I could stay on track. This isn't the only way to do it, this is just the way that I've been doing it. I'm not doing it this way to store it for 30 years. I'm just doing this as an alternative to buying these things. So I don't know how fast we'll go through these. Our plan is to, make fresh bread every couple of days or so. It just depends on how quickly my crew will go through it. So for this recipe, for all the recipes, I'll put the wet ingredients on the bag. So for this particular one, takes a cup of water, a tablespoon of butter, 2 tablespoons of honey, and then I write down the machine settings. And for this one, it's a basic white bread setting. And I go ahead and put that stuff on the bag first. It calls for 1/3 of a cup of dried cranberries, so I stick those in a separate bag. And I don't zip it all the way up because I want the vacuum sealer to suck the air out of this bag too. It calls for 1/3 of a cup of dried cranberries. It calls for half a teaspoon of cinnamon, 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt, and I put those both in one bag. Now I don't know if that's really a big deal or if I could just add that to the flour and store it that way, but I went ahead and kept everything separated, and I did the same thing with the dry yeast. I know that there's little packets that you can buy instead of getting the little jar. I know you can get packets, but it was cheaper to get the jar, and this wasn't going to be stored for any serious duration, so I just went ahead and got the jar, and I just stick the yeast in these little baggies, and I do the same thing. I zip them almost all the way up, leaving a little bit so that it could still suck the air out of that. And then I just take those and I put those in my bag first. See if I could do this. Get that stuff down there. And then I don't want to drop it all the way to the bottom because I'm about to put some flour in there. See if I could do this without making a big mess. So I'm putting 2.5 cups of bread flour. There we go. Now we can let that kind of drop down to the bottom. It also calls for 1/3 of a cup of old-fashioned oats. So we'll drop that in there too. So you can see all of our separated ingredients there. Make sure that the baggies are dropped in there low enough so that when you stick it in the sealer, it doesn't pinch down on the baggie. So what I end up doing is I drop it on there and I lock it into place, and then I can kind of shake everything semi-flat. Even take something underneath it. That's a little bit big. You can stick that book underneath there. And then we can hit our vacuum and seal button. Let it do its sealing thing. Wait for our little lights to turn off, telling us that we're all ready to go, which is right there. So now we have our little recipe all bagged up, all sealed up nicely, and then I'll put the name of the bread at the top. And then I will also put the date on the other side. And then that's ready to go into storage. Alright, that's just the way that I've been doing it. Maybe you guys have some other suggestions on how to package those up, but I just like that as an alternative to buying these boxes of bread. So there you have it. Thanks for watching. Comment, suggestions, rate my videos. Subscribe if you wish.